family, it's Sweetney back with another discussion. This discussion today I feel is really, really important, definitely for myself and for all of you. And it's something I had to do a little research into because I'll go into it later in the video. But I was being affected by this. So today's video is going to be titled Food Addiction. What are highly palatable foods and how do they affect weight loss? Now, the definition of palatable. I know you're going to see me looking down because, as I said, I took notes on this because this is really important stuff that I wanted to share with you, and I wanted to make sure that I have my thoughts together. So, the definition of palatable means it's just a food or drink that tastes good, something that you find delicious. That's considered palatable. Means you could take it in because you like it. Now, highly palatable food is described or defined as a very delicious food or drink that is also high in calories, high in sugar, high in fat, high in salt. These kind of foods tell our brain, you want more, even when you be feeling full, right? Have you ever had that feeling where you was eating something and in your mind you'd be like, dang, I'm full. Well, I still want to eat more, and you overindulge. People don't understand that's a real thing. Yes, and it's coming from what is referred to as highly palatable foods. Now, I want to give you some examples of these foods, and immediately you're going to be like, oh, dang, that's a lot of my favorite stuff, especially if you find yourself enjoying food. So some examples of highly palatable food is pizza, pretzels, pie, chocolate, brownies, cheeseburgers, hot dogs, cookies, heavy cream, cake, French fries, fried chicken, bacon, and soda. I know. I looked at this list as I was creating it, and I was like, man, I like pretzels. I love pizza. I love burgers. However, remember, I don't eat meat, so I enjoy black bean burgers, but I think they probably talking about those beef ones. Hot dogs. Cookies. I be tearing some cookies up, y'all. French fries. Honestly, recently I discovered I shouldn't eat French fries that much. Now, I was baking them, but then I was like, oh, I want some fried French fries. And of course, they taste crunchier and they hold the salt. But, oh my goodness, y'all see my face? My face was all broke out. My face was all broke out from eating French fries that I was frying. So, I stopped eating fries again. Soda, honestly, I've been stopped drinking soda. I was just one of these people, and then tell me if you was this type of person in the comments, where I just drank ginger ale when I felt sick. But who else has been seeing some video going around of the ginger ale didn't really have any ginger in it, which is the reason why we were drinking it when we didn't feel well, right? Like, we were drinking ginger ale so that we could feel better, and now they're saying we were drinking more ale than ginger. So, I guess there's that. But I do have ground ginger that I use now instead of the ginger ale because, like, I just didn't want to sacrifice even have a soda for a little bit because ginger ale is kind of sweet. I don't know about the rest of y'all, but yeah, I can taste the sugar in it. Now, according to an article that's on virtua.org, overexposure means you eat too much of these things. Overexposure to highly palatable foods can increase the chances of developing food addiction. So, all that food I just named, if you eat it a lot, well, then you're going to have a high You probably have a food addiction now and you're not realizing it. Or maybe you're realizing it and that's why you're watching this video, because you're like, man, I don't want to be addicted to food. I didn't want to be addicted to food. Check this out. This is still from virtua.org. Individuals who are exposed at a younger age, means like your littles, as well as those who use food to cope with stress, have an even higher risk or higher chance of developing a food addiction. Now, listen, family. People using food to cope with stress is a real thing. And I think I was one of those people. I think I'm trying to transform from being that person. Because something happened last week and I found myself very stressed. And I was trying to figure out what I was going to do about it. And all that kept popping in my head was all these habits that I've been trying to break. I ended up smoking a cigarette, which I hadn't smoked in a couple weeks because I was so stressed out. I didn't want to eat. I didn't want the cigarette. But I was so stressed. I needed something. I felt I needed something because I didn't need anything, right? I just need to develop better ways to manage and cope with my stress. I am really happy that I didn't turn to food. I am not happy that I turned to something. I am being very transparent right now when I'm saying that. Now, I'm going to share some stats with you. Since I live in the U.S., I'm just going to talk about the U.S. In the U.S., it is said that there are 79.4 million obese people here in this country. We are number 36 in the world for the highest obesity rates in women, and we're number 10 in the world for the highest obesity rates in men. Now, I found this next part really interesting. There is an article written in Newsweek. Now, this article was written back in 2019, but the title of the article, are you ready for this? I was in shock. Are you ready for this? The title of this article was, Most Food in America is Hyper Palatable and is difficult to stop eating, scientists say. So scientists have been doing research into the American diet. And they're realizing that a lot of our food is hyper palatable. Now, as part of the American people, I will agree that over time, it seems that a lot of our food has been given a lot of different additives. I don't know the exact terms, but these things that they've put into our food, they make our food last longer, gives our food a longer shelf life, and yeah, some of it really does make our food taste good, taste better, and makes us crave it and want more. It's crazy that scientists know this, but it is not something that the American people are made aware of. Sorry, my light went out. Let me see if I can't cut it back on. Well, let's just rock out without it. Now, I'm not going to just tell you all that and not hold them. All right, I'm back. I just wanted to cut the camera light back on. Now, as I was saying, I'm not going to tell you and inform you about all of this without, leaving you with some solutions, right? Because the name and title of this video is Food Addiction, which means this food is highly addictive. Now, on my own personal note, I will say this. I've been on this journey for over 20 years, my own weight loss adventure. And I've been in and out of the doctor's office. I have sat with nutritionists and dietitians to work on my health. And I had discovered that sugar was highly, highly addictive. Like, highly addictive as like one of the worst street drugs that starts with the letter H that people use a needle to shoot in their arm. I talked to a dietitian about this, and yeah, they said it was highly addictive and referred to that word. And I was like, well, why is so much of this in our stuff? I don't remember what the response was, but I remember that I said, okay, this thing is highly addictive, like H. I gotta get this out my system. Because I don't know if you ever heard me say, like, my name is Sweetie. That is not a nickname. That is my name that my mom gave me. And as I grew up, I began to think I was destined to eat sweets because my name is Sweetie, right? And not necessarily about me being a sweet person, because I can be. But I took it as I'm supposed to eat sweets. And so that's what I did. And man, I don't anymore. I still eat sweets, but I not like I used to. Like, I used to go to the store. I don't even want to go there. Like, I used to go buy a bunch of candy, like 10 packs of Airheads, and just eat them. And I was a sugar junkie. And now, when I started, when I decided I wasn't going to eat all that junk food, I started weaning myself off. I didn't really feel it that bad. But then, like, more recently, I said, I want to really try to cut all kind of sweets. So what I did, I started with my tea. I stopped putting sugar in my tea. I stopped putting honey in my tea. I used to use agave. I used to get agave from BJ's, and it came to a point where they weren't selling it anymore. So then I was like, well, I'll just go cold turkey. And then I found it at Walmart, but I have been cold turkey. I'm used to now having my tea with no sugar, just lemon, and I'm fine with that. I actually prefer it like that because now that I don't have like taking as much sugar, when I do take in sugar, I can feel it. Like, I can feel. I'm gonna try my best to put this into words. I can feel it in my bloodstream. I can feel. I don't know what the word is. I can feel myself about to get hyper. I can feel it going through my veins, and it's a weird feeling. Now that it's something that I can recognize when I'm actually taking the sweets. I can feel this happening to me, and so that for me lets me know, like, yeah, don't eat anymore. Now, when I was on the journey to start reducing sweets, okay, I'm going to tell you about that as I go into how to overcome food addiction. Now, step one is to avoid eating highly palatable, hyper palatable foods. We get these foods from fast food restaurants. We get these foods from the list of things I just said a few minutes ago. Cut that stuff out. Start weaning yourself off. If you could go over that list and say, I enjoy all that stuff, in a week's time, cut that list in half. This week, cut it in half. And then next week, cut that list in half. Because it's going to be hard. I'm not saying it's easy, y'all. It's called addiction for a reason. They want you to want this stuff. So now we have to use discipline and willpower to walk away from it. Because giving up on yourself is never an option. Even though we have become, and saying we as in I have become addicted to these foods for a long period of time, let me say this part next, and then I'll say what I was about to say. Avoid eating highly palatable foods. Now, during this time frame, when you start to cut down on eating these foods, you're going to feel yourself going through withdrawals. You are going to feel yourself going through withdrawals as if you were taking a drug. I went through these withdrawals and I was so messed up. Like in my mind, I was so messed up because I realized what I was going through, but I hadn't done the research to know why. I just was over there, like sitting there in my bed, and I was craving this sweet so bad, and I was like, "Oh man, I feel like a junkie." But I didn't know. But this is what I was saying to my husband, like I feel like a junkie. Like, let me explain something. I was in bed and I was like trying to hypnotize myself by saying, I'm not going to get up and eat these sweets. Because I had bought my kids some snacks. Like, I'm not going to get up and eat their snacks. I'm not going to get up and eat their snacks. I bought that for their kids. I'm not going to get up and eat it. More than once this has happened. More than once is why I'm explaining this. Sorry for that. As I was sitting there saying this like mantra to myself, oh, I'm not going to eat this stuff. Something robotic happened. That's the only way I can explain it. Like, I got up, went in the kitchen, shoved like 3 cookies in my mouth. I mean, like, just, whew. And before I could stop myself from eating them cookies, I had ate them. And then I found myself standing there, upset. And I'm like, sweet, why did you eat those cookies? You know you didn't want those cookies. And I was feeling so defeated in these moments because it's happened a couple of times. And I was feeling very defeated in those moments. But then I realized about the 3rd time around, like, something else is happening here. Like, I was literally telling myself, and I know I didn't want to eat it. Like, something in me wanted it, but there was another part of me that was fighting it. But the other part that wanted it took over. And this is where I begin to talk about parasites. It's not you that's craving that stuff. It's the parasites inside your body that's craving that stuff. It's the parasites that's telling you, go get those cookies. Go eat those chips. And when you are in the process of avoiding those foods, if you have those foods in your house, you know how like when you might see a movie of a drug addict going into withdrawals and they can't have nothing of that stuff around them. Yeah, you can't have none of that stuff around because if it's accessible, you may find yourself eating it before you can stop yourself, before you can realize that you've done it. That's real stuff. That's what I'm telling you. Now, when I'm talking to you about these parasites that live in your body, yes, we all have them. People around the world have them. The difference is, in other parts of the world, people know to detox. Most of them detox twice a year. In America, I was never taught about detoxing. My mom didn't know anything about detoxing. She never talked to us about detoxing. It's something I learned like in the past year and a half. Now, in the past year and a half, I've learned that people, they use papaya seeds. Yes, they use papaya seeds and they drizzle them with honey and they eat them. And the papaya seeds, they contain some type of ingredient that will expel parasites from your body. And they'll come out paralyzed, look like they're sleeping. That's what you want, okay? You want them to come out looking like they're sleeping because, I've heard stories about people taking castor oil. I'm not saying don't do these things. I'm just saying I heard about people who took castor oil and they came out alive and was crawling up their back and nobody wants that. Nobody, let's be honest, we don't want that. That sounds scary. We want them to come out asleep. And most people say, we don't want them to come out asleep. We want them to come out dead. But when you do your research, you find out if you kill them inside you, they will excrete a toxin like urinate or poop inside you. And that is toxic. It's toxic for your body. You don't want that in your system. So the best thing that you could do for yourself is pass them out when they're paralyzed. Pass them out. Let them go. Now, you can also use a 3 ballerina tea. 3 ballerina tea is going to cleanse your whole body. Cleanse your whole body of different toxins and things that you have. And that's something else that you want. Again, I know y'all seen the camera light go out. I'm just going to leave it. Number 3, something we all know that we need to do after we have purged. Yes, purged our body of these things, we are then going to begin to create better eating habits. And better eating habits don't necessarily mean that we expel all those things from our diet all the time. If you can, that's great. But I'm not saying don't enjoy it every now and again. What I am saying is, on the current path in which we've been taking in these things, no bueno. It's not good, y'all. We gotta stop. We have to stop. I have to stop. Those are the 3 tips that I have for you to overcome food addiction. First one, let's avoid highly palatable, triggering foods. Avoid it. Don't go to fast food restaurants. Cook your food at home. Number 2, begin to use a parasite detox, because the parasites is craving all that stuff. It's not necessarily you. And honestly, when I drink 3 ballerinas tea, I realize that my cravings, they actually decrease a lot. It decreases a lot. Number 3, create better eating habits so that when you're moving forward with success. We are here in 2025 to beat this thing. We're not just trying to lose weight. We're trying to keep it off for good. And keeping it off for good means recognizing the triggers, recognizing the mental aspect, recognizing and being transparent with yourself about the truth, your truth, so that you can be successful on your journey. That's all for now. This is Sweetney with Losing the Fluff. Till next time.